Stop scrolling the board examinees of Class 10 2026 and welcome to N Smart Classes. Let us now move to the most coveted section, and the most important section, I believe, is literature. I think this carries 40 marks, and this is one place where you have chance, to lose marks or make errors. Okay, now complete the sentence. Mandela thanked all the distinguished. Now this is the topic. This is the particular extract that has been given. Out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster. Okay, this is one part, children. I'm sure your teachers have told you multiple times that what is the meaning of extraordinary human disaster, why the word extraordinary has been used. Okay, that lasted too long, must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. So there will be no discrimination, right? There will be no discrimination based on caste, creed, race, religion, and sex. Right? So, of a long battle that has been fought against injustice, what has to be born? A society which will believe in equality, right? Of which all humanity will be proud. We who were outlaws, very important, okay, not so long ago, have today been given the rare privilege to be host to the nations of the world on our own soil. So this is indeed a very prestigious and honorable moment for the people of South Africa, because they have been deprived of this opportunity for a long time. So now the moment has come where, they have established the fact that they are all equal, right? They have established the fact that they believe in democracy, right? So we can expect questions from these parts. And rightly, the CBSE has given, right? Which of the following options justifies the statement made by Mandela, we who were outlaws, right? What will be the answer? Outlaws? Do you think that the international leaders who have come there to witness this program? No. Due to apartheid, many countries broke diplomatic relations with South Africa, right? Because this is one discrimination, which actually left South Africa isolated in the world scenario, right? The Commonwealth countries and their people. Do you think these were the outlaws? No. The people who fought in the Anglo-Boer War? No, definitely not, because this happened in the past. So obviously, the outlaws actually referred to the countries, which broke diplomatic relationships with South Africa. So this is the answer. Now let us move to the next one. Complete the sentence appropriately. Now Mandela thanked all the distinguished international guests, because this is a very important question. Okay, I think we have done it multiple times in our classrooms when we were discussing the pre-board papers or when we were doing intense revision before the examinations, right? So because their presence signified a common victory for justice. If you look at the last line, here lies the answer of this one. Okay, so because their presence, what did it signify? It signified a common victory for justice, peace, and human dignity on South African soil, right? That is the reason, he thanked all these leaders. Next, what is the significance of the phrase extraordinary human disaster? I told you, a very interesting question and a very difficult one. Why it is extraordinary? Because they practiced apartheid, right? And, it lasted for a long time. This institutionalized racial discrimination, it lasted for a long time. And as a result, what happened? People were deprived. People were denied their rights. They were not equal. They were considered inferior. And as a result, what happened? There was injustice prevailing in that particular country, right? And this caused immense suffering to the people of South Africa. And this is the reason why it has been called as the extraordinary human disaster. because this is something very unfortunate. People will not be treated equally on the basis of your skin color, on the basis of your race, on the basis of your community, on the basis of sex, right? So this is something which is extraordinary. This is something which is unique and doesn't happen in any place, right? Now, let us move to the next part. The tone of Mandela in the above excerpt is obviously unifying, determined. Yes, he was determined to establish peace there, right? Aggressive, definitely not. Pessimistic, no, he was very hopeful, right? Hopeless, no. So what is the answer? Answer number C, right? And with this, we go to the next part. This is from Making of a Scientist, another very interesting chapter. Okay, so either this or not. Please do let me know in the comment section that which reference to the context you have attempted, whether it's A or whether it's B. Okay, now what is the first question? First of all, this part is very, very important. Richard wasn't interested in winning for winning's sake or winning to get a prize. I think most of us are so ambitious that we want a prize, we want recognition, we want that acknowledgement, okay? So, always you cannot be a winner if you require or you seek validation, okay? You also have to be satisfied internally. You also have to learn from that process, right? Richard was one person who never sought validation, who never sought validation. He never wanted any kind of acknowledgement. What he wanted was that he wanted to learn and grow in that process, right? So that's the question. We can infer that Richard's competitiveness was driven by what? His desire. He wants to be the best. For the right reasons, he wanted to be the best. He wanted to do the best the job he could, right? So whatever job he was doing, whatever work he was doing, he wanted to give the best output. And that is the reason, he was driven by a desire to do the best job and seek excellence for the right reasons, rather than a mere obsession of, with winning prizes. So I think the answer is pretty much there in the extract. And if you could read the passage or read the extract well, you can easily answer this particular question. Next, very easy question. Mention the ingredients which are necessarily required in the making of a scientist. Start with the first red mind, okay? Add curiosity and mix in the will to win for the right reasons, okay? So what will be your answer? First red mind and the will to win for the right reasons. Curiosity and the will to win for the right reasons. So these are the ingredients of a person who wants to become a scientist, right? Next, Mr. Weir suggests that Richard was lethargic. Definitely not. He was persistent. That means he never gave up. He never gave up, right? That is the meaning of the word persistent. Now, as per the above excerpt, what is not true about Ebright? He was very curious. That was the reason he became a great scientist. He was bright-minded. He was intelligent. Competitive spirit, yes, he was ambitious. But at the same time, he was not irrational. So this is the correct answer. Okay, so with this, we come to the end of the reference to the context from the prose extracts. Now let us go to the poem extracts. How to tell wild animals. So lucky you people are. These particular extract has come. I think this is the easiest of all the poems that you have in your syllabus, right? So you are lucky indeed. Now, how does the poet describe the crocodile's tears? Choose the correct option. What will be the correct option? It will be false and deceptive. Why? Because we often say that shedding crocodile tears. What does it mean? That means you are faking your emotions, right? So this is the correct answer, false and deceptive. Next, what confusion will a newcomer face while distinguishing between a hyena and a crocodile? Right? What is the confusion? Because both smile. The hyenas gave merry smile. The crocodile also shed crocodile tears, as described humorously by the poet in the above extract. So the answer will be that both will be confused by their human-like expressions. Hyenas appear to come with merry smiles. That is their most important attribute. While crocodiles appear to weep while consuming their prey. So these are the 2 points that you have to write in your answer. Now, mention any two characteristics of a chameleon. Now, this is something which is very easy. Okay, so to a lizard sort of a thing, chameleon is small, he hasn't any ears at all and not a single wing. So all these points you are getting from the extract itself, and for that you are getting 2 marks, children. Oh my God, such an easy question. Okay, so you just have to copy the thing from the extract, and it is a small lizard-like creature. It has no ears or wings, and with this you get full 2 marks, right? Next, fill in the blanks with the correct option. How many of you have attempted this one instead of Amanda? Let's see. Okay, write in your comments. Fill in the blank with the correct option from those given in the brackets. The tone of the poet in the above line is obviously playful and humorous, but not serious and confused, right? Let us go to the next part. Amanda, I think many of us relate, with this poem a lot, right? Did you finish your homework? Amanda, let us see what is the first question. Amanda wants to be an orphan because, why does she want to become an orphan, right? Because she craves for that freedom. What does she want? Freedom is sweet. So she craves for freedom. Okay? Why does she crave for freedom? Because she has to get away with the constant instructions and nagging of her parents. She wants silence. She wants that golden silence, and that is the reason she says that silence is golden, because this is something which is lacking in her own life. This is something which she craves for badly. Okay, now let us move to the next part. Amanda wants what does the image of Amanda roaming barefoot in the dusty street signify? What does it signify? That means he yearns for a carefree life. Nobody would instruct him what to do, what to wear, how to walk, okay? Nobody would give him long list of instructions. She should be alone, okay, and walk barefoot without any kind of worries or tension in her mind, right? So what do you have to write? That it signifies a yearning for a carefree life where she can enjoy simple, undisturbed moments without being told what to do or what to wear. Okay, now next part. Amanda's tone while imagining herself as an orphan is peaceful. Okay, and finally, what does the speaker do on the dust? It is already given. I think it's already given. If we go to I pattern soft dust with my hushed bare feet, and you will get the answer here only. So you will get the answer as I hush. So the answer is she patterned soft dust with her hushed bare feet, and you will get full 1 mark for this answer. Okay, so have you seen how easy the paper is, right? And it's so easy, it's so scoring that you're now having answers from the extract and you're just putting it directly in your answer script and you're just getting away with it, right? So you just have to be cool and calm and peaceful and stay relaxed before any examination. If you are nervous, if you are stressed, then what happens? You have this, you will not be able to think properly. Okay, so it's my advice, it's my suggestion, children, that whenever you are writing examinations like this, you always have to stay calm, meditate for some time, and then start writing your paper. And I'm sure you will do a wonderful job there. Okay, now let's start. The first question. Oh my God, fire and ice. What ways do the symbols of fire and ice? Fire and ice serve as metaphors for opposing human impulses. I think this is how the poem starts. Okay. So, fire represents what? Uncontrolled desires and greed, whereas ice represents what? Cold hatred and indifference. Now, both these emotions, both these impulses are destructive enough to, damage the entire well-being of a person, right? So, they are capable of bringing the world to an end, highlighting the destructive nature of uncontrolled emotions. So, if these emotions are not kept in check, okay, if these are uncontrolled in its own way, then what will happen, right? Soon we will become a destructive individual. We will create destruction all around, and that will not be a healthy situation for any of us, right, children? Okay, now next question. Important question to the Jai. What was the last task assigned to Anne Frank by Mr. Kissing due to her habit of talking, and how does she show her ingenuity to answer it? Okay. For her final task, I think this is a very direct question. What did she do? to escape that punishment. She wrote a poem, right, if you remember. And what is the title of the poem? Quack, 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 said Mistress Chatterbox. And why did she write such a poem? Because she wanted to teach Mr. Kissing a lesson. What was that lesson? So that this witty approach finally would move Mr. Kissing, and Mr. Kissing would stop that punishment, right, in that particular class, and would allow her to talk in the class, right. So this is what is expected from this question. How does she show her ingenuity to answer it? So what did she do? She wrote it in a brilliant satirical tone. Okay. So that finally what happened? Mr. Kissing was completely convinced that yes, I should permit Annie to speak in the class. Okay. Now let's move on to the next part. Mention the transition in the baker's costume. Now, out of 5 questions, children, you have to write any 4, right? So, if you have attempted this question, this is a very direct question. You can easily answer. So, so how, it has transition. Mention the transition in the baker's costume from the Portuguese days to that of the author's childhood, right? So, in the Portuguese days, bakers wore a kabai. And from kabai, what has happened? It has evolved. They are now wearing shirts and trousers shorter than full length but longer than half pants. So this is what from kabai they have come back to shirts and trousers which are shorter than full length but longer than half pants. So if you write these points in your answer, I'm sure you will be getting full marks. Remember, for short questions, the mark division is like this: 2 for content and 1 for expression. Okay. So there are 2 points. Previously it was kabai, and later on they came to shirts and trousers which are shorter than full length but longer than half pants. So if these 2 points are there in your answer, and if your answer is technically correct, grammatically correct, there are no spelling errors, then you are going to get full 1 mark for expression and full 2 marks for your content. And finally, you will be getting full 3 marks for your answer. Okay, it is very easy to score in CBSE, children. Okay, now, but definitely you have to do the hard work. You have to study. Okay, nothing will come as free on your plate. You have to work very, very hard. Okay, now, the appalling spectacle. Next question. When I returned, there was an appalling spectacle. Which spectacle is the author referring to? Elucidate. Okay, what was that appalling spectacle? First of all, the fact that he was injured. Okay, he saw, there was blood in that box which was transporting Mitchell to another country, right? So that was the appalling spectacle. So can you understand one thing? You have to read the book very well. If you haven't read the book properly, you will not be able to answer that question. Okay, so you have to read the book very well. Okay, how many of you have read only the summaries of the stories? Do write it in the comments box. I just want to know your names now. Okay, now, the appalling spectacle refers to the author's finding Mitchell's transport box covered in blood. The author, in its attempt to escape, had torn the zinc lining of the box, injuring itself in the process. Okay, let's move on to the last question. What sacrifices did Valli have to make in order to save enough money? This girl was so wise. Okay. Now, why do we say that Valli was wise? Because he had saved enough money for fulfilling her long cherished desire. Right? How many of us can actually withstand this, this particular thing of not buying anything anywhere for a long time? How many of us can show that restraint? Right? So she showed restraint. Right? Valli thriftily saved every stray coin, resisting the temptation to buy peppermint toys or balloons, right? Thriftily saved every stray coin. Whatever little money was given to her, she saved it very nicely. Okay, she did not waste it on buying things like peppermint. Remember, these are the things which will obviously, tempt a child. Okay, but then you can understand the amount of restraint Valli displayed, right? Now, why did she, do this? Because she even stifled her strong desire, to ride the merry-go-round at the village fair. She stifled her strong desire. For any child, it's a dream coming true to ride that merry-go-round, right? But what did she do? She stopped her desire, right? Remember? Fire and ice, right? Uncontrolled desire, what can it lead to? Right? What can it lead to? It can lead to destruction. But have you seen what amount of restraint Vali has shown or displayed in order to put her desires under control, right? And as a result, what happened? It showed her immense self-control and willpower as well as determination. She was determined. She was determined to actually visit the village fair. To visit the city, traveling in a bus. Okay, okay. Visit the town in a bus. Okay. Now let us go to the next part. We are coming to the supplementary reader part. Why does Hari Singh find it pleasant to work for Anil? Obviously, Anil trusted him blindly. Right? Anil trusted him blindly. He never questioned him. So when someone shows trust, when someone shows confidence in you, what happens? It automatically you have it in your mind that, okay, I will never cheat that person. I will never deceive that person. I will give my best. And that exactly happened to Anil, right? So what did she do? Despite being a thief, Hari Singh found it pleasant to work for Anil because Anil trusted him completely. That is what I wrote here. Okay, Anil taught him to write his name and promised to teach him full sentences, offering Hari a path towards a reformed, respected life. So this is something which Anil, Hari was actually looking for. He wanted a respectable, dignified life, and he knew that it was only Anil, it was only Anil, who would actually give him that opportunity, right? Now, let us go to the next part. How does Matilda face the horrible life of necessity? What can greed lead to, right? What can ambition lead to, right? So after losing the necklace, Matilda and her husband lived in extreme poverty for 10 years. They lived in extreme poverty for 10 years, right? And why did they live in poverty? Because they have to repay the debt. She did all the heavy housework, lived in a garret, losing her beauty and youth in the process. Okay, lived in a garret, in a heavy house, and she had to do all the heavy housework. Okay, so because of her greed, what happened? She had to pay such a big price. Okay, last question from this question number 9. The teacher built up Voli's confidence on her first day at school. What did she do? If you remember, the teacher motivated her. Okay, by smiling at her. By smiling at her, right? So on the first day, the teacher spoke to Bholi in a soft, kind voice, which was a contrast to the treatment. How was she treated at home? You all know that, right? She was never given a dignified, a kind of a treatment, right? So she was always neglected, ignored, right? So on the very first day, the teacher was the only one who gave her or showed her that love, who spoke to her compassionately, right? So you have to write this answer. By encouraging Bholi to say her name without stammering, the teacher planted the first seed of self-assurance. Okay? That it's okay to make mistake. It's okay to stammer, but still you have to utter your name. So that motivation, brought in a drastic change in Bholi, right? And with this, we go to the long questions. Now, children, I'm sure many of you are already sure that, you are going to get very good marks in your English class 10 paper of the board examinations, right? So answer any one of the following questions. I don't know which one you have attempted, but I'll discuss both the questions. So how do Lencho in the comment section or comment box, you can just drop in your comments from the long answer, which one you have attempted, and you can check from the other students that what they have attempted. Okay. Now, how do Lencho in a letter to God and Kisa Gotami in the sermon at Benares respond to their experiences of suffering and loss? Okay. What did Lencho do? Wrote a letter to God, right? letter to God, and what did he do? He sought help. Financial help. Right? This shows his unwavering faith. Right? And what did Kisa Gotami do in the Sermon of Benares? Kisa was actually waiting for some miracle to happen. Was waiting for some miracle to happen, right? So at the end of it, what happened to both these protagonists? We find that one wrote a letter immediately asking for money, and overwhelmed, and Kisa Gotami, what happened to Kisa? Overwhelmed by grief after her son's death, she initially seeks a miracle cure. And how did they overcome their loss? Lencho overcomes his loss through a material answer. He wants more money, right? And Gotami, what does she do? She overcomes her suffering by learning the universal truth, from Lord Buddha, from that, one has to accept that death is inevitable part of life. So she was spiritually more enlightened, right? Now, let us go to the next part. How does the contrast between the pilot's fear in the black aeroplane and Custard's initial cowardice? Pilot's fear in the black aeroplane. Why was the pilot scared? Because he was in the black clouds, there was no fuel, okay, he was lost, he did not know what to do, how to react in such a situation. At that point of time, he got help. Now we don't know who helped him, okay, whether it was a very mysterious thing that happened to him, right? At the same time, in the tale of Custard the dragon, when the pirate came, we found Custard to be his original self. Now what is his self? That strong self, that self to protect everyone in the house, right? So how we will write this answer? What is the question? So the Custard's initial cowardice in the tale of Custard the dragon highlight that courage can be found in the most unexpected characters when circumstances demand it. Do you think it is true? Discuss with reference to the two. Okay, so the pilot experiences extreme fear during the storm, but is forced to act according to the situation, okay, because he has to survive the situation. So what does it highlight? It highlights courage. He never went back. And what did he do? Instead, he moved forward. And so this showed courage, and he displayed courage under pressure, right? Same thing happened with Custard, right? Custard is an apparent coward throughout the story, right? But when the situation demanded, when the pirate came and attacked the owner of the house, when the pirate attacked Belinda, and when all the other animals, sought a kind of a refuge in their own places, in their own habitats, it was Custard who came to the rescue and, killed the pirate and ate him up, right? So the pilot and Custard both bravely when acted bravely when faced with a life-threatening situation, challenging initial perceptions of their character. So both of them, came out of their own self and showed their courageous self in order to face an adverse situation of their lives, right? And with this, we want to go to the last part of our question paper. So how is it? How is the experience? I'm sure you are having a tough experience because this is a paper. This is a lengthy paper. English papers are very, very lengthy, right? Now, how does Dr. Herriot's approach to treat Tricki reflect his deep understanding of the animal's needs? So what did he understand? That Tricki actually needs, love and care. And obviously that overindulgence must stop. He has to be handled very patiently, right? He has to be given company, right kind of company. Remember, there was no, you can't say that his life was inadequate because he was getting everything from Mrs. Pumphrey. But somewhere down the line, because of her overindulgent attitude, Tricki was losing it all, right? So in The Triumph of Surgery, Dr. Herriot shows empathy and observation. So what does it display? Empathy. He was very concerned about the dog. And at the same time, he closely and minutely observed the dog movements, right? And recognized that Tricky's only illness was overindulgence. So if Tricki is removed from that particular situation or that environment to a new place, maybe Tricky's health condition will improve. And that is the reason he took that risk and brought Tricki back with him to the hospital, right? And he displayed patience by not using medicines. And that is the reason the chapter's name is The Triumph of Surgery. Okay, this is ironically written. Why? Because no surgery actually took place. It was just because of patient handling of Mr. Herriot that Tricki survived this episode, right? Now, instead of giving Tricki a strict diet and plenty of exercise with other dogs leading to a successful recovery. So, in short, you can say that you have to write the character analysis of Dr. Herriot. Okay. Now, next, the Martians. This is the last question. The Martians, despite their advanced technology, are outsmarted by their own ignorance and an old book of rhymes, comment with reference to the book that saved the earth, right? So in the book that saved the earth, the Martians are outsmarted by a book of nursery rhymes. Okay, so there they saw the picture of Humpty Dumpty, and what happened, this particular character, Think Tank, he believed that maybe the humans have recognized him, right? And they have identified him and they were planning to capture him. And as a result, they fled that place, right? So what can happen if you are ignorant, if you are not knowledgeable enough, if you are not aware of the circumstances that are there around you, then what will happen? It will lead to failure, right? And you will end up taking wrong decisions. You will end up making mistakes. And that exactly you have to write for this particular answer. So their ignorance leads them to interpret simple rhymes as sophisticated codes for a human invention. So what is their problem? What is the flaw in their character? Their ignorance. And this caused them to flee in terror. Flee means escape. Escape in terror from a harmless book, right? And that is a wrap on English paper. How do you feel? Is it a devastating experience? I'm sure it is not. You had a lot of fun while writing the paper, and we had a lot of fun during the session doing some wonderful activities and question answers together. So if you really could sustain your sanity throughout this session, please do hit the like button, subscribe, and do share this session with your friends and study groups. Till then, study hard, stay legendary, stay calm, and meet you in the next session with a lot of energy and with a lot of support and love from you. Bye, children.